Because
Okay, going live.
yes, but as long as we emphasize that they are only rumors, so that they may not be, so they're not 100% fact. I think that's fine, so long as we don't talk about them as if they're full on fact.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. And on that note, hello there. We are live for only the second Bilgecast Gaming Edition, because there's nothing else to do these days.
When you're stuck in quarantine, play video games.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, your conversation makes for interesting listening.
Also, the weird thing, I know you guys, no one's played Mortal Kombat 11 yet.
Yeah.
No.
But now it's canon that Shinnok is related to the main villain from Spawn.
Why not?
Ma-
Why not? The DC Comics
Apparently
characters
Shinnok-
exist in that universe.
Because the main
Malbolgia.
villain... Well, yeah, Malbolgia is Shinnok's cousin.
Yeah. Welcome to the Bilgecast Gaming Edition, Episode 2. I'm Ollie Johnson, here with Sam and Ian. How you doing, guys?
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right,
Not dead. So there's that.
Yeah. So I'm quarantined in my room for now, so let's just jump into it.
So, yeah. So games recently been playing. I've honestly been very busy, but I had a load of PS2 games I picked up, so it might sound old-fashioned, but I've been playing some old ones from there just to test them and make sure they work.
All right, yeah. What you been playing?
The Animaniacs: The Great Edgar Hunt.
Oh yeah.
And the Playboy: The Mansion.
Right. Tell me about the Animaniacs game. I'm curious.
Okay. So it's set like that. Instead of the Oscars, they have these things called the Edgars, and someone just nicks them. So the Warner Tower falls down, and only Yakko is playable. So you've got to run around collecting film reels and doing little tasks here and there and playing mini games with Pinky and the Brain. The first one of which is using a magnet in the Wild West part of Warner Brothers land to steal all the horseshoes. Whoever controls the horseshoes controls the town. And then you have to save Dot from an old-fashioned Western movie on a train where it's like, where it's a silent movie with the text boxes.
Yeah, what is the gameplay like? How is the game made?
It's a 3D platformer thing. You get an attack button. You have a health that's determined by how many apples you have. You have the wacky little enemies you can only take out in certain ways after they've done a wind-up. But then you get like little accessories and stuff to explore that can only be used by things like, for example, when you get Dot, you can use a few different moves. You get different moves. The same with Wacko when you finally get him. But other than that, you can pick whichever one you really want to play with. But you've got to find them first, and that usually involves you going to certain areas, doing a few tasks here and there, and then having to rescue them. Very few other Animaniacs characters have turned up so far, though. Only Pinky and the Brain have turned up as regular mini-game things to get an Edgar. And I think the Professor's turned up once. I'm pulling for Slappy Squirrel to turn up, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yes.
Or Chicken. Well, the Chicken Boo.
Chicken Boo.
I tried showing Animaniacs to Liz, and she absolutely loves Slappy Squirrel.
Yeah.
She's just a miserable old woman, and I love it.
She's like the old school cartoon character.
That's just putting up with everyone else's crap.
Yeah.
I was always a fan of like the educational songs that they used to do.
Yes, I know the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also one of my favourite jokes Animaniacs ever made were the innuendos. Like someone's going to them and going, "Give me the bird," and he he's talking about an actual bird, and Yakko goes, "We'd love to, but the fox censors won't allow it."
Yeah, there's also the thing about fingering Prince.
Oh yeah.
I found Prince, and she comes with Prince. No, fingerprints. I don't think so.
Yeah, stuff like that. They got away with considering it was Steven Spielberg doing it, it was very
Yeah.
clever. It was very cleverly written. So other than that, I've been playing the Mega Man Zero collection on the PS4, the demo of Resident Evil 3, and My Hero Academia 1's Justice 2.
How is
Yeah.
One's Justice 2?
Honestly, I'll just say this. I didn't get to say it much. I kind of sucked at my first impressions, to be honest, because I was too focused on playing it. But the story, it's all in Japanese, so you've got to accept that. I am a bit pissed at some of the story because some of the fight, they turned moments into fights for no reason, which is
Oh.
typical in anime games. Like, well, an example of it is, you know
I
that bit
just
when
shared the stream with Seb, but it seems like he's already here. Hello, Jonathan
Okay, well,
Olsen.
where they get Bakugo back and they go to the dorms, and then Bakugo takes Denki Kanamari behind the bushes and then gets money out of him.
Yeah. Oh, how do you
They
even make a game set out of the idea of the Playboy Mansion? I'm sure he'll get to that. And fingerprints.
But yeah, they turn that entire bit into a fight. But then when it gets to the main story bit, they've removed Ryuko, who's one of the bigger, more interesting characters for me in the story, from the entire story mode, except for one scene where she makes an appearance in a sub-quest for when you play as Uraraka. The roster's actually pretty okay, although I will say that Cammy is completely broken. Like, she's capable of way too many combos right away, and I fucking love it.
Yeah.
They've made characters I had no idea would actually work. Mina and Minetta actually work very well in the game.
Oh god, how does Minetta do anything well?
Well, the thing is, the way it works is you've got your normal attack buttons, which are your square button, but then you have your quirk buttons, which are your triangle and circle buttons. And as you can imagine, it's literally just that. It's literally just him using his balls for things.
Yes.
I know that came out wrong, and Seb's going to make a very asinine comment about it, but
That's why you said it, admit it.
no. Well, the roster literally consists of 3 different Dekus, because you've got normal Deku from the first season of My Hero Academia, shoot style Deku, and then you've got 100% full power Deku. Then you've got All Might and Demba.
Do you have the Deku tree?
No. No, yeah. You have all of Class 1A with the exception of Ayama, the French guy. You don't have the Invisible Girl. You don't have Sugar Boy, and you don't have Ojiro. Other than that, all of Class 1A is playable, regardless of how you think their quirks work. Bakugo is kind of shit to play as, to be perfectly honest. Denki is very good to play as if you want to be smart.
Well, he's kind of shit to think of as a character as well, so, you know, it fits.
All Might is kind of fun, and Demba's actually pretty fun to play. But what I've been doing, because Ryuko isn't in the game, you can actually customize the character's appearances with certain things you buy in game, with the currency you earn from the story mode.
Yeah.
And there's no microtransactions in the game at all. So I've basically bought Ryuko's dragon wings, her headband, and everything, and just put them on her squad mates, just for fun. But other than that, there's no other They've also got the 3 characters from Seiei High, which one of the only characters I don't think should have been in the game was Seiji, because his quirk doesn't really work in game very well, and he's also limited in how he can fight, so the story mode fight with him drags on. They also brought back legacy characters from the previous game who aren't part of the story, like All For One, Stain, and Muscular.
So, are you still there? Also, how is the stream?
You've got Nomu as DLC, and recently someone data mined the game to find out the 5 DLC characters.
Right, and who are they?
The 5 DLC characters are Mei, the girl who has all the gadgets.
Cool.
Gentle, who's just debuted in the anime.
Yep, I have seen him.
Hawks, who will debut in a few episodes.
Okay. I'm still here. The stream is okay. Good.
Itsuka Kendo. And she's basically the girl who can make her hands big.
Oh, yeah.
And Tetsu, the metal guy.
Ah, right.
So I don't have a problem with this. I just think that it's limited in terms of if these are the only characters we're getting. I still think the game, considering how it works and considering how the last fucking boss works, there's no excuse to not have Ryuko in the game.
Yeah, everyone should watch My Hero Academia, by the way. It's very good.
And also Rumi, whose debut. I know that they couldn't put Rumi in because she hasn't got a Japanese voice actress yet, but she's just about to debut alongside Hawks, and she's physically built for a fighting game. She's literally a rabbit woman that kicks things very, very fucking hard.
Does someone called Animals also debut with Hawks?
Animals, no, very fun. But I've already gone over. I mentioned that.
What a rush!
Considering it's Namco Bandai, and if you've seen what they've done with Tekken's DLC, where they've made multiple season passes,
Oh, for God's sake.
I wouldn't mind more DLC characters, but if I had to add any more, I'd probably add a few more villains, because the amount of villains you get in the game, you only get 2 versions of Shigaraki. You get Toga twice, Mr. Compress, Muscular, for reasons I'll never truly understand,
I love these names.
Kendo Rapper.
I love hearing these names just out of context.
Yeah, I know. 2 versions of Overhaul.
Right.
Oh, and Eri is actually in the game, and she's actually used as a sidekick in one of the battles. Basically, if you get too much damage done to you in the battle against the final form of Overhaul, you can use the sidekick button, and she'll use her quirk to heal you.
Yes.
You also get all 3 members of the Big 3. So, that's a thing. You get Night Eye as a playable character, and his foresight thing actually does work in game, oddly enough.
Ah.
They also added a scene for him after he dies in the anime. Sorry, spoilers. But the game has an exclusive scene where it shows like his ghost or something.
SMS, is that Kendo Rapper with an R or rapper as in candy wrapper?
Rapper as in R, although they're gonna have to specify it, because if Itsuka Kendo is gonna be DLC, then they're gonna have 2 Kendos. Though also, you'd be surprised, but Jiro actually works very well in the game, because they actually managed to make the amps work. They've also added tag team moves into this game, so if you have certain sidekicks in your group, like because Fat Gum's in there, but you can have like a team move with Tommy. What's his fate? Well, Sun Eater, Red Riot, and Fat Gum all have like a
Night
triple
Eye
team.
burning like fire. Yeah. Oh, Night Eye.
There is actually a hero. By the way, there is actually a hero called Burning.
Oh, she's on fire.
No, she's basically Endemba's sidekick. All of her hair is on fire, and she's basically like Bakugo in terms of like her personality. But she's like overly excited. She's overly excited about everything in a violent manner. She also dresses like a combination of a stripper and a Nazi. It's really weird, and she doesn't seem to like Bakugo or Todoroki.
I can understand her Bakugo.
Which is funny, because she has a personality very similar to Bakugo, but she thinks he's a piece of shit. And she hates Todoroki because she thinks that he's only there for nepotism.
Well, he's not, but I can understand why she would think that.
Because they do a whole thing where they call the heroes with the characters with other heroes, and which includes Miruko, who doesn't even have an agency, so I don't know how that works. I'm going to have to read ahead. But again, she'd fit into the game ridiculously well, because again, it's a fighting game. And just to throw this out there is a whole bit with the new version of Deku who does do a full-on ura thing.
Huh.
He has a quirk move that does that. Also, Gran Torino's playable, though I don't quite understand why.
I see.
But other than that, it's an improvement over the last one, a dramatic improvement so that certain things can't be spammed. They've managed to fix a lot of the moves, so if you've not played the first one, it's a massive improvement. You can just go straight to the second game and enjoy that. The first game really doesn't have much going for it, to be perfectly honest. Resident Evil 3 demo, well, Nemesis only turns up towards the end of it, and he does his job.
Stars.
Fights just like Mr. X from the Resident Evil 2 game, though he's got the
Oh,
tentacles.
oh,
And
yes.
Sebas, is that Fat Gum
He
or
can-
PH Fat Gum? It's the first one, Fat Gum. His power is that he uses excess body fat as a shield, and he can channel it into attacks as well, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Nemesis can create new types of zombies as well by grabbing them, and then he gets multiple tentacles going to their heads. The demo was, it's set. I can't tell what time frame during the original game it would have happened, because you're definitely on the tram from 3, but you're underground now, so you're in the subway. There's posters breaking the fourth wall, giving a release date for Resident Evil 3. There's even a poster that's referenced Dr. Wily and Dr. Light somewhere. And then as soon as you leave the train station, there's still human beings running away from zombies. So, it feels a lot more alive than the original. And they've added the dodge button that was in the first game, in the Resident Evil 3's original, that didn't work 90% of the time, is now a separate button, and it works.
She dresses
Jill
like a
can now
combination
duck
of a
zombies.
stripper and a Nazi. What on earth is this? For some reason, I was imagining Bleeding Gums Murphy.
I don't know why you do that, why you'd think that at all. I don't know how to comment on any of that.
Yeah. So yeah, the Resident Evil 3 demo is good, would you say?
I would say it's short. I am disappointed
Well, it
in
is a
how
demo.
short it. Yeah, but I'd say it's even shorter in some ways than the Resident Evil 2 demo. But it ends in such a way, because as soon as it sets you the task of, you've got to go through an alleyway that's on fire. So it's actually the task of going around certain events to get a thing to open the fire, to get a fire hose. Then as soon as you get the fire hose, the Nemesis turns up. You can shoot things to weaken him and distract him, and just run past him, run through and activate the thing. And as soon as you put out the fire, he punches through a wall, stands in front of Jill and screams stars, and she just pulls the gun out at him, and then the demo ends. But it gives you one last little clip.
Oh, that's not.
And
Oh, Seb, you
Go on.
should watch My Hero Academia if you like the idea for these characters. Fat Gum and the Nazi show. There is this one guy called Sun Eater who takes on the characteristics of things that he eats. So instead
so
of
imagine what
assist
it's
tools in his utility belt, he's just got snacks.
Also, imagine how that works in a fighting game.
Yeah, so if he eats a seafood stick, apparently at Fat Gum's agency they eat a lot of takoyaki, so he can turn his right arm into a massive octopus tentacle and constrict his opponents. And if he eats beef, he can turn his arm into a cow hoof and just hoof him in the jaw.
Well, yeah. Okay, I'm sending a picture of Burning, or at least I think, I've just sent a picture of Burning to the chat.
Right.
So you can have a look at that. That's Endember's sidekick.
But
She doesn't look like a Nazi.
Ah. Well, that's a colorized version. I don't know. There's something about wearing it.
If you saw that in black and white, I can understand why you might think that.
The thing is, I haven't seen a colorized version, and this is a fan art version of her. It looked like an SS uniform to me to begin with.
Yeah, it looks like a sailor outfit.
So he literally is what he eats. Yeah, and it has a surprising effectiveness in battle, because he can pick and choose what traits of the thing he eats he wants.
Also, for reference, this is Mirako, and this is the only picture I could find of her.
Right, I can't put these on the podcast, but...
Yeah, you can't, but this is for context for you guys, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I see.
Anyone else you have?
Looks like Lola Bunny on steroids.
She's actually apparently the guy who made it, the guy who writes it, Hirokoshi, he wrote a manga before My Hero Academia where the main character was basically a rabbit that's very similar to Mirako. and she's his favorite character. In the manga, he even writes a panel where he says that he would draw her constantly if he could. Considering he's dedicated an entire chapter to the character, yay. So, yeah, other than that, the Zero collection is just the Game Boy games re-released onto the PS4.
Nice.
Which works surprisingly well.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah? Who is it? Okay. Oh, sorry, guys, I'm going to have to... I'll be back in a minute. Hello? Right.
Speaking of rabbits, did any of you read Sam?
I don't think I've read the latest version, but I have read it.
I've read it.
Alright, why don't you tell him what you think, Ian, because he's going to want to know.
Well, it's good. It's just that there's a few stereotypical things that cowboys say in it, which you might want to watch out for.
All right, then.
Such as what intonation?
Sorry about that. I had to... It's just an appointment. Because of what's happening with the coronavirus, they've apparently got my glasses ready early, so I can go pick them up tomorrow.
Oh.
Instead of Monday. So at least I'll be able to see,
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't think YouTube likes us to say that word.
I suppose not.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna go Resident. Since we're talking about Resident Evil, I'm just gonna call it the C virus. I know that's a thing that happened in Resident Evil 6.
The C virus. That's good.
But nobody gives a shit about Resident Evil 6.
I never played it, and I played all the others.
I have, and I played it as a punishment that you missed. Remember? To answer Seb's question about how Playboy the Mansion works, imagine The Sims, but you can actually see the tits unpixelated.
Right. He wants to know if anything seemed familiar about it, Ian.
Familiar. Was it supposed to be a Red Dead Redemption reference?
There is a pop culture element to it that I imagine he's waiting for you to notice, but wait till I mean, I know what it is because he's told me, but I don't know if I should tell you. Well, no, I shouldn't. I imagine he'd want you to try and figure it out.
It's kind of gone over my head.
Yeah. It will become more obvious as it goes on, because I know what the basic plan is. Yeah. At any rate, Ian, what have you been playing lately?
I've been playing a bit more of World End Syndrome.
Oh, what is World End Syndrome?
It's a visual novel, you see,
Yeah.
and it's set in like a small town, and there's some weird shit going on.
Oh, naturally.
And yeah, you can romance like five of the girls in it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we're currently streaming at the minute, but I kind of went ahead, but like saved on a separate like save file to see how far along we are, and we're only on the prologue.
Of course we are.
Yeah.
This is Dragon Quest levels of ridiculous.
Isn't World End Syndrome when you can't stop watching Edgar Wright movies? Wait, is that not the norm? Edgar Wright movies are brilliant.
Let's not forget the other game we've been playing.
What?
You know.
Oh.
Life is Strange 2.
Life is Strange 2, yeah.
I mean, it looks good, but I really wish it was a zombie survival horror, so I'm going to score it badly.
So your thought is, why aren't I shooting everyone who disagrees with me?
Well, yeah.
Why isn't everyone a zombie?
Okay, let's not dwell.
Okay,
let's not dwell on that.
Jokes aside, but me and Ian were playing that for quite a while. But I think Ian's best to describe why it took us so long to get through it.
I think it's because it's well, because there was like so many issues brought into it.
It was was it the fact that it was based more on isms than it was on actually telling a story?
Oh god.
Well, there's a lot of isms in it. Yeah, like racism, classism,
Oh god.
so on and so forth. There's a bit of homophobia in there.
Oh god.
Yeah, so,
I'm dreading what's coming.
I think it's how it deals with it.
yeah.
It's not the fact that it has it in, it's how it goes about it. I mean, the only way it could be more outrageous is if Donald Trump himself came down and started hunting your character like animals.
Right. Well,
No, it is that over the top, because the thing with the first
if you
Life is
set it
Strange,
in something close to the real world, you've got to have some political parallels.
yeah, but this is combined with the whole power thing. It's I don't know. It makes the first few episodes less enjoyable as a thing and more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think
I
that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean,
It's just going from the first game to this. It is a massive leap.
Yeah.
I
Don't get
get
me
that
wrong,
it might be a bit of a departure. Yeah.
it's more escapism's nice and everything. It's just this kind of brings us more to a, oh wow. I mean, I can't even say most of it is exaggerated, but literally the first episode starts off with the usual kind of stuff, and then before you know it, your Latino father is being shot by a policeman unprovoked for doing nothing except coming to check on his children.
I see. Says that everything has its allegories. Right, yeah. Let's not risk opening that particular can of worms.
Well, but overall, I mean, despite everything, it is a good game.
Especially the way it ends, because the way we went about it, we at least got a good ending for everyone, or at least we felt it was.
Ah.
Yeah.
Right, well, I still need to play that, so try not to spoil it for me. So yeah, you've been playing anything else, Ian?
Well, I've had a bit more of go on RPG Maker Fest.
How's that going?
It's going pretty good. I mean, I had to reload everything because the last time I had an update, it kept crashing. So what I did was deleted what I had and then just reinstalled it without updating it, and everything's running smoothly.
Ah. So the update broke the app, sort of.
Yeah, and not only that, the new DLC added also did it.
Oh, of course it did.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of DLC, the final bit of DLC for the broken game that's 2K20 came out.
Oh yeah, the Tron world.
I don't know how to feel about Nia Jax being a Borg.
Why not?
I don't. Look, here's the thing. The last
Seb
one we
says,
did,
I had an
Southpaw
uncle who made RPGs. I think that's he was in the Taliban. Oh God, Seb.
Oh boy.
But yeah, we did Southpaw Regional Wrestling. I know. I don't know if Ollie joined us for
I
that
did,
one
yes.
as much. That was the cartoonishly ridiculous thing that I could deal with. That was funny because you knew full well it's just the normal wrestlers just playing exaggerated characters from the 80s, and it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the previous DLCs were literally Bray Wyatt turning people into monsters and creating the forces of hell. A Mad Max world where, well, Seth Rollins was trying to defeat it, basically do Mad Max 2. And this one was literally Asuka as a hacker trying to stop the evilness of, Alexa Bliss, who ends up becoming a cyborg human thing. I don't know. And having antivirus software that is just Nia Jax as a Borg, it was just
Yeah.
awful.
Well, I finished Death Stranding a while ago.
So, Ollie, how does it feel to be post-apocalyptic postman Pat?
I thought wrestlers were exaggerated characters from the 80s. Some of them are. Yeah. Death Stranding is actually quite a good game, but it does make you work for that. Like the first 10 hours or so are a bit of a slog.
13 uses.
Yeah, but it's not that bad. Like 10 hours is normally enough as opposed to 20, and that's still too long. I want to stress that that's still too long for a game to like start showing you what it's gonna be. And if like it took way longer than I would give anyone but Hideo Kojima the benefit of the doubt for.
The thing is, Hideo Kojima, in his defense, has that whole Hideo Kojima-ish behavior with his stuff.
Yeah.
If you've ever sat through Metal Gear Solid 2, you'll understand.
Yeah. Well,
That's in the record. That's in the record books, by the way.
it starts off as a really big game of QWOP, basically. You've got to stay upright and walk to deliver your things in what looks like rural Wales. And yeah. And you know that there is a game in that you can use climbing anchors and ladders to get around. And when you get to the second map, you can start building roads and synthesizing things like. Well, I didn't synthesize a truck. I raided. There are these people called mules in Death Stranding, which are basically people who steal cargo and they have camps. They're basically villains.
Yeah,
Hideo
I've heard
Kojima
that
gets the
there is
George
much of a
Lucas
problem
pass. He does, yeah. Deliveroo the game. There are some very difficult assignments where it is just to deliver pizza from one extremely difficult to get to place to another. And pizza's difficult because you've got to carry it flat or it will be ruined. Yeah, but basically I was raiding a mule camp for resources, and it was only then I realised that you could actually steal one of the trucks and put cargo in it. So I did that. But I kept playing the game after I finished the story to finish all of the roads, and there's also these like zip line structures, wherein you have these cufflinks that have like a ring on the end of them, and if you hold it up, it goes through like a laser line that works as a zip wire to zip you from one place to another. And I basically, on the first map, which doesn't have roads, I set up an intricate network of zip wires between the delivery stations so that I could just do the extra deliveries, like, without actually having to do anything, and just zip from one to the other.
Dear God, you really are just a post-apocalyptic postman Pat.
Yeah, that is basically what the game is, but there is,
the Hollywood version.
Yeah, what you are actually trying to do in this game is deliver the game. Hey, he stole that guy's pizza. Yeah, but yeah, you are basically trying to connect different settlements and cities to the chiral network, the internet, basically, and establish the United Cities of America. You're trying to build America again, one city at a time, and and there is this terrorist trying to bring about another Death Stranding, which is basically an extinction-level event, wherein, well, when people die now, they go nuclear if you leave the body unattended, so basically everyone has to be cremated right quick after they die. And your character, Sam Porter Bridges, played by Norman Reedus, is what's called a repatriate, which is someone who, if you die and if you can find your body again, you can just come back to life. It does get feeling a bit Metal Gear in places where, I don't want to spoil it, but there are these segments where you're on a battlefield and you can actually have a gun, and it plays a little bit like one of the action sequences from a Metal Gear game. And You know, that was pretty good. Also, you have an unborn fetus in your chest in a tank.
Yeah.
Because Hideo Kojima, ladies and gentlemen, like it.
Because he had nothing else to do with it.
Like, no, Hideo Kojima. I think this game was peak Kojima, and I mean that in both good and bad senses. Like, there is a lot of the delightfully mad bastard creativity in this game that we have come to expect from him. Like, there's a character called Die Hardman. And there's also another character called Hartman who dies every 20 minutes because he's got a machine on his heart that deliberately induces cardiac arrest. And he comes back 3 minutes later. That is a thing that happens. There is a reason for it, but if I try to explain it to you, it's going to make no sense. When people die, they go to the beach, which is a network of a different plane of existence. Everyone has their own beach, and he's basically searching his beach for his family, which is why he keeps dying and coming back. So it's the Phantom Menace of Hideo Kojima. In a way, yes, there are one or two things that annoy me, like your boots have health meters and you have to change them regularly. Like, that adds nothing to the gameplay.
So
It's like,
the thing is that it wasn't just weapon degradation that people forced into your
boot
shit.
degradation.
It's clothes degradation.
There is no weapon degradation, and no clothes apart from boots degrade. Just boot degradation. Like, you can run out of ammo for a weapon, and at which point you might as well chuck it because it takes up cargo space, and you can just fabricate another one when you get to a way station. Like, when people die, they go to the beach. Eastbourne in a nutshell. And, well, basically you're trying to prevent another extinction event, is the dramatic part of the story. And, you know, all of the Hideo Kojima trappings are there. The fucking epilogue was 5 hours long.
Yeah, it sounds about.
Yeah, and there were like 10, 20-minute monologues that could be summed up in a single sentence.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah.
After Metal Gear Solid's dialogues and the fact that it had, for a while, probably until this game, had the record for one of the longest cutscenes in existence.
Yeah, and but there's some. It's I'm making it sound worse than it is. I think it is definitely worth playing. At least once. I don't think I'm gonna play it again, but I'm glad I played it the once. I played it through the once.
Speaking of gaming, I'm thinking of moving one of my other older consoles downstairs.
Right.
And I'm torn between the GameCube or the Dreamcast.
I think the GameCube probably has more on it that you would have use for.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I think speaking of Hideo Kojima, I think one of the things you need to really speak about is the rumor, and I want to stress this rumor that Sony might be buying or trying to buy out Konami's
IPs.
rights to cast the IPs, particularly Silent Hill and Castlevania.
If Hideo Kojima convinced them to buy out Konami's IPs so that he could make them, I'll never say a bad word about the man again, because it means we could have more Metal Gear, and it will be good.
All I'm going to say on this is, after everything that's happened to Silent Hill, Ian will probably have a different opinion to me, but my thought is, what more can they do to it that they haven't done? They have already butchered it to such a degree that it doesn't even resemble what it was meant to. And now it's a fucking pachinko machine. And Castlevania, they already tried rebooting that with Lords of Shadow, and that went tits up very. And now it survives purely now as a Netflix exclusive show. That is actually very good, by the way, and while not completely faithful, it's one of the few times I can say it's better.
I do need to watch that. In other
Well, we're on season 3 right now, so I'd say it's worth watching because you do not need to know anything about the games at all. Even though it's set during
Good.
Castlevania 3, which is technically at the beginning of the timeline somewhere, you can literally go into it and just know nothing about the lore or anything of Castlevania. You can just enjoy it as is.
Good.
Although I will say my favorite line from season 3 is literally, "What were you doing in there with those two?" Oh, well, they wanted to meet someone who'd actually seen toilet paper. What the fuck is toilet paper? It's Chinese.
Disturbingly relevant.
It is now. Yeah, now that I say it out loud, it's more fucking relevant than it needs to be.
Sebas,
this
does
is
he
set,
eat
like-
hams from walls?
No. Though Trevor Belmont is in the game, he acts nothing like the video game counterparts, nor any other version of Trevor.
So he doesn't
He's kind of
punch a
like an
hole in the
ambivalent
wall and pull out meat.
No, though he's got a smart ass mouth and he's just a miserable bastard. He actually kind of reminds me of Ollie in some way, to be honest. Just because of the things he says and does.
Right. What the fuck is toilet paper, everyone in 2020?
Yeah, I need to find that scene subtitled and then meme it.
I'm sure it exists.
What the fuck? It's just the whole thing now that I think, like, what the fuck is toilet paper? Chinese.
Yes. And other than that, I've been having the odd round on Battlefront 2. That's usually fun. I hate when it has to update itself because I have to delete like 50 gigs for an 8 gig file. Because it's a 113 gig file in total. At the moment. And it will get bigger still, I imagine. But and I've been replaying Shenmue. I'm going to play all 3 in sequence. I'm on the second one now.
God. Oh yeah, did you know DLC's already out?
I did. I haven't bought it yet, but I will.
Remember that season pass I told you about where you're playing as it and how disappointed you sounded?
Yeah.
Oh, poor bastard.
Yeah. And
What's weird? It's going to be fucking weird for you though, going from Shenmue 2 right to 3, and then you can see just how little it's changed over, 18 years.
like, there is one big change I hated in Shenmue 3, and I've been thinking on this since playing the other two. I hate the new fight system. It is the worst fight system I've ever encountered in a game.
Yeah, we've gone from Shenmue to Yakuza to Shenmue 3. To explain that to people outside of this, it's like going from a chocolate digestive, then going on to a gatto, and then a brick.
Yeah, but there is a punch that requires like 4 button commands. It's the most counterintuitive combat system I've ever played.
And he still hasn't got to the villain yet.
I mean, he kind of did, but not really.
It might as well have not happened.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad Shenmue 3 happened, but he really should have tried to finish it. But I've been trying to do the completion run and get all of the capsule things. But I spent so long working at the harbour, right? Because
looking for sailors.
There is a point in the game where the story will not progress until you talk to Mark. And so if you just don't, you can work at the harbour pretty much indefinitely. And it got to the point where I had almost all of the capsule toys. And they're all in Shenmue 2 anyway, so I can just try and get them there. And I was getting sick of it. I had like 260,000 yen. Like, for reference, that would be enough to get the plane ticket he couldn't afford and you're not meant to be able to afford in the game, and pay back Fukusan for your life savings, which the game doesn't let you do, even if you can.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing. Ryu is an asshole, and
He
unfortunately, as a
is.
character, hasn't really changed at all since the first game.
No.
Every time there's been somewhat of a life lesson or something important he needs to learn, he doesn't really learn anything other than new techniques. He doesn't really learn anything or grow as a person.
Vengeance.
Yeah, one track
Hell,
mind.
Bakugo had more character growth than this dull bugger with the unhealing cheek and his limited edition Shenmue 3 plaster.
Yeah.
I am never going to let that go, Ollie. I'm
No.
never going to let that go that there was limited edition fucking plasters.
Yeah, that was merchandise for Shenmue 3. It was a plaster.
The cheek that will never fucking heal.
Yeah.
Guy spends most of his time running around looking for sailors and scorpion lighters.
Yeah. So, obviously, when I got to Shenmue 2, I had like nearly $9,000, and I spent all of it on completing the Virtua Fighter collection from the first one, and which took a while because I only needed Duro Gold, which is not impossible to get in Shenmue 1, but it's very unlikely. You have to win the right version of the first prize at a raffle, because you either get Dural Silver or Gold. I have 4 Dural Silvers, and I never got the gold one. Yeah. Not that there was any point, because after your money gets stolen, like, once you've worked one day, when Joy takes you to find work, and you get the guy that shifts the crates and goes, "Ugh!" You can basically just save scum gambling, and I've got like $15,000 now, which is more than you will ever need.
Yeah. Yeah, when you were moving the crates with discount Barry Burton.
Yeah. We're putting it down! We're putting it
I
down!
hope nothing.
Ooh. Yeah. So yeah, I've been playing that.
Yeah.
I have the Outer Worlds, but I haven't played it yet. That's next on the list.
Oh, I forgot what game I've been playing. I've been playing Yakuza 5.
I sure hope this isn't Chris's blood.
Sorry, that was the wrong situation. Yeah. Oh, and I think we should all talk about a certain demo that we've all played.
Oh yeah.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Where we all wanted to ride a cloud or be ridden by the one riding said cloud.
Yeah, Jesse is thirsty as hell.
Jesse
Oh yeah.
has been, yeah, I can't believe out of all of this, the one thing that everyone was talking about from the demo was Jesse being the MVP.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't get much time with the members of Avalanche in the original, so I'm looking forward to getting more of that.
To be fair, after replaying the original, Jesse is the one who talks to us the most out of all of them, because we do have to rescue her with her foot and everything in order to exit the reactor, and we also have to talk to her about, when she's explaining the underground of Midgar.
Yeah.
And she washes your face at one point.
Yeah. Also, Cloud isn't as emo as he has been ever since he got a voice, which is refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why post Final Fantasy VII iterations of Cloud since then have been so relentlessly emo, because the Cloud in the game wasn't really.
Well, he's not really emo.
He said things like, "Come on, everyone, let's mosey." That is a line he said.
I know.
Well, he wasn't really emo. He was just more like a tragic character.
Yeah.
If you want emo, check out Squall.
Yeah. I think they may have got the two a little confused when the voices came about.
Yeah. To be honest, I have noticed that as soon as Cloud got a voice, as you said, he just became this really depressing character, self-loathing character. I mean, I understand it for the context of he still blames himself for Aerith and everything.
But Squall
in the early parts of the game, he's smart-assed. I mean, what's part of the thing that makes Barrett hate him at the beginning? Like, when he ends up in the car and he's like, "Whoa, looks like I'm late." You're damn right you're late. You goddamn idiot doing this. Oh, you were worried about me. Shit, I'm taking that out of your pay.
Yeah. And I love that none of that character from Barrett has been lost in the remake, because you see it all in that demo.
Yeah, also remember the whole thing you can tease Barrett about the whole sailor outfit.
Ah, yes.
You look like a teddy bear wearing a marshmallow. The fuck is that supposed to mean? And then if you don't have a party, you can catch him wearing it in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then if you knock on the door, he gets pissed off and starts shooting at the door.
Yeah. And then the gameplay is pretty good. Like playing that demo, I played it through on normal the first time. I played it through again on easy, and mowing down those soldiers with that sword is incredibly satisfying. Like,
Yeah,
I
there's
wouldn't
some
actually
weird
blame anyone who
about-
switches it to easy just for the catharsis.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I played it on easy to begin with just to get used to the
I
system.
want to try out the other system that they gave because I haven't yet, but I'm interested. There is one thing I was slightly disappointed by, and that's Heidegger. He's not his bumbling self anymore. He seems like just kind of a generic henchman. Well, I'll give him time.
Well,
Maybe he is still his bumbling self, and we just haven't had a chance to see it. But,
I'm just disappointed they didn't give him a German accent.
well, yeah, with a name like Heidegger.
Basically, he's just a Nazi.
Yeah.
just wait till we see Scarlet. We'll see if she has her laugh.
Yeah. I'm quite happy with the soundtrack. I have heard it said that the presence of voice acting necessitates that the soundtrack be toned down a bit so as not to overpower it, and I do definitely see that. But it's not 100% a bad thing. But I do miss the fanfare. You know, I know Barrett sings it at one point. I've never actually had him do that, but I know. Excuse me. I know he does, and you know, it's not the same. I miss the victory music.
Yeah. Although I do think they've actually made the opening mission feel a lot more alive.
Yeah, and also, fun fact: the demo for the original Final Fantasy VII in 1997 was the same stretch of game, and it ended in the same place.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's not that far off until it comes out, hopefully.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's been delayed.
I completely believe that everyone who worked on this game played the original growing up, and it shows.
Here's the thing: if what they've said is true, and if this game does well, which it will, let's be honest,
It was going to do well no matter how good or bad it was.
I hear things from people saying, well, how many more parts it'll have after this will depend entirely on how well it does.
Yeah.
But I've been hearing that apparently the people who've been working on this wants to remake Parasite Eve 1, which I am 100% behind.
I've never really played Parasite Eve 1, so I couldn't really comment, but cool.
Parasite Eve was only in the United States, though we got Parasite Eve 2, but 2 is considered pretty bad because it's nothing like the original. It's nowhere near as fun. The battle system's changed, and that's mainly because it was never meant to actually be the sequel, but they just threw the name on. Boo on them.
Well, that's what we've all been playing, what we thought about it. Bit of news. I think that's a good place to call it a stream, guys.
All right.
All right. So, is there anything else anyone wants to add?
I don't really know if there's anything else I can add other than, again, I was playing Yakuza 5 on the PS4 just to see how it went.
Oh, nice. How is that going?
Games seem harder than I remember. The enemies seem to block a lot more than I remember them doing.
Uh-huh.
That's a bit more of a challenge, but Yakuza 5, I'm finding the subquests a little easier. I actually decided to do the one thing I never did in the PS3 version as Saejima. I hunted that goddamn bear.
Right.
I stayed behind and I did that entire subquest when you get out of prison and end up in that snow village where you hunt the goddamn bear to the point where Saejima just throws down his gun and has a fist fight with said bear.
Ah, yes, I remember that.
Apparently really, really, really strong. Well, stronger than any other grizzly bear. and I punched it the hell out. Tough, he beat up a bear. And I love Saejima in the Yakuza games. I really do. And if I do a Yakuza run, you'll probably hear me fanboying over him because, again, he beat up Kiryu.
Yep. And he was
He's
barely
old.
alive when it happened.
Well, in the fight, Kiryu was still had just about recovered from the stab wound the year before. Saejima hadn't fully recovered from literally being at sea, and yet he was still able to not only punch Kiryu so hard that he flew through the air, he managed to pick him up and do a Triple H spine buster. And the fight only ended because his wounds finally caught up with him and he couldn't breathe properly, so he collapsed. If he hadn't, he would have crushed Kiryu.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're nearing the hour mark, so thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me, guys. We will hopefully continue doing these. We'll probably see you for a wrestling one later in the week. There's stuff to talk about. See you soon.